So peer review process, right? So Taylor and Francis is one of the largest social sciences publishers. They have 2,700 journals. And so this is an example of the flow of the peer process, right? So you submit it online using a online portal, and then the journal editor screens it. By screening it, they look at, did you use the right font? Did you use the right margins? Did you, basically follow their general guidelines and directions? Because they're not going to read the paper if you didn't even follow the basic instructions. Then it goes to generally 2 to 3 reviewers. These are people that are volunteering their time. Generally, they're professors at other universities or individuals that have been frequently published in that journal, and they will review it and make comments. And I will also show you an example of one of the reviewers' checklists. Then they will determine whether or not it should be accepted with minor revision, accepted with major revision, or completely rejected. And if it's completely rejected, it's just, they think it's just past hope, right? They think that nothing is really going to help it. Or it could just be totally a wonderful article, but it doesn't fit in with the type of articles that they publish. I have seen people grasp at straws trying to submit journal articles to journals that don't even cover, what they're trying to prove. So here's an example, right? This is a client of mine. He is in Saudi Arabia, and he's a brilliant man. He's creating technology for blind individuals so that they can make sure that they're taking correct medication and things like that. But you can see his abstract is very vague. It doesn't even discuss the methodology. It doesn't discuss the findings. It's just very general. It's more kind of like an introduction, but it doesn't even cover a lot of things an introduction should cover. And here you can see, this was the general comments, rewriting the abstract. So it actually mentions the key concepts, expanding the introduction. Certain key words were not even mentioned in the abstract that should have been. Some of the sections were missing. And data analysis. They felt like the statistical reporting was inadequate. You can see here, the author addressed an interesting topic, but it's not really applicable. Or this one said, using only 9 patients for a sample is not enough, right? You need to make sure you reach a certain threshold. So you can see the comments are usually very thorough. And different reviewers can disagree. That's why they tend to have 2 to 3 people reviewing. This is an example of, Taylor and Francis, the checklist that the reviewers use. And I kind of condensed it a little bit, but they will go section by section, right? Your abstract and your title. They will look at the title. Some titles, people try to add a lot of flair, right? You just need to get to the point. Is it appropriate? Does it talk about the importance? Your introduction should be very succinct and very clear. It should mention your research questions, your methodology. Is it able to be replicated, right? Even if you're not doing an experiment, if you're doing, something more like a survey or a focus group, is it able to be replicated if someone wanted to try to? And then did you address any potential bias, or what kind of controls did you use to validate your research? And even qualitative research has these validation controls as well. Results, make sure your results are presented clearly, accurately. All your figures and tables are appropriate, as Mark mentioned previously. Some tables and figures might be redundant, so you don't necessarily need them. Don't include them just because you think the more the merrier. They need to actually be relevant and help to understand and interpret your data. And then the discussion and the conclusion, which a lot of people rush through this as well because they think, oh, well, I already said in my findings, this statistical analysis proved this, and this survey proved this. Well, now is the time to discuss why that's important. What does that show? And why is that important? Then also, it's really important to say future research, right? What future research and potential application of your data or of your study, because they want to know that this isn't just a one and done type situation. You can build more, and other researchers and other authors can build on your research. And again, go back to, they can cite your research and just continue the chain. And then it's also important to discuss any limitations. You want to get that up front and out there. You don't want someone to look at it and be like, this population or this sample doesn't really seem representative. Why didn't they mention that? Or, you don't want people poking holes into your research. So if there are limitations, you just need to state them clearly. And then if there's any contradictory data, and no data is going to be flawless, right? Nothing is ever going to work out exactly the way you hypothesized that it would. Just discuss it. Just be open, just be honest, and mention it up front. And again, we mentioned tables and figures. Make sure that you are not manipulating the data to get the result that you want. That can be very tricky and very controversial. And then references. So it's very important to make sure that your in-text references match your reference list, and that you're also following the style guide that your journal has requested. And also, you don't want to have a ton of references that are outdated. You want the majority of your references to at least be within the last 5 years, depending on what kind of area of research you're doing. Obviously, you're going to have some theories and some models that are historical and foundational, and that's fine. But you just don't want the majority of your references to be, somewhat outdated.